What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be discussing the semi-finals of the Champions League that will be taking place, of course, in 2 weeks' time, where Barcelona will be playing Inter Milan, who of course beat Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals over the course of 2 legs, 4-3 on aggregate, and they will be our semi-final opponent. Of course, Barcelona's first semi-final since 2019, and it will be a very challenging one. It's going to be a very good attacking team facing off against a very good defensive team. Now, I want to discuss in this video very quickly a quick look ahead into this match as we do approach it very soon. The time, of course, will be flying very fast over the course of the few weeks, as we do have big games coming up overall. But like I mentioned, this team is a very serious team. They, of course, made the Champions League final in 2023 against Manchester City. They've had great runs in the Champions League over the course of the few years, and also have been dominating Serie A overall. You haven't won, I think, back-to-back trophies per se, but they win every other Scudetto, every other Coppa Italia as well. They are regarded as the best team in Italy, especially since the departure of Ronaldo from Juventus, maybe the last year of Ronaldo as well. As we all know, in Italy, they tend to play 9 times out of 10 a 3 at the back system, and they do the exact same. And of course, their team filled with quality. Jan Sommer's the top goalkeeper, Benjamin Pavard, a third B, Bastoni is regarded one of the best center backs in the world, a very strong back 3, Darmian and DiMarco as their wing backs. DiMarco regarded as one of the best left wing backs or left backs in the world. Barella in midfield regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world. Mkhitaryan, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Lautaro Martinez, and Marcus Thuram up front. Lautaro, of course, he's been at least top 3 strikers in the world over the past few years. The system, of course, is pretty much a good blueprint in the sense of beating Barcelona, and of course their manager Simone Inzaghi, who's been there now for a few years. He's been very successful with them as well. He's done a phenomenal job over the past few years bringing Inter Milan back on top of the world of Italian football, and now he wants to probably do the same thing in Europe as well. Of course, this Inter team specifically that you see on the screen, and also with Simone Inzaghi, they've already played Barcelona in the Champions League back in 2022, of course, in the group stages at the San Siro, where we did lose 1-0. Then, of course, that big 3-3 draw in the Champions League at the Camp Nou as well in the return game, you could say, where, of course, that ended Barcelona's Champions League hope and knocked us out into the Europa League. Most importantly to note as well is that the Barcelona squad for this team that played Inter at this time is basically the same. You can add Inigo and Olmo. The rest of the players did play this game, coinciding as well with Inter. A lot of the current Inter players also played this game as well, so both teams have experience in facing each other. Only difference really now is the manager. At that time, of course, it was Xavi Hernandez, and at this time it will be Hansi Flick. The first game of the San Siro was a very close game. The one goal that into this goal was a 30-yard banger from Hakan Çalhanoğlu that, of course, beat Ter Stegen in between the sticks. We had, of course, that big handball call at the end of the game. I think Pedri scored in the game that was given offside as well. So the game was very tight alongside this one as well over the course of the 90 minutes. Of course, Barcelona went 1-0 up. We capitulated, went 3-1 down. We brought it back to 3-2 and 3-3 very quickly, but couldn't find the winner to keep us in the Champions League. The goal we conceded in these games as well were embarrassing. The PK, last second, leave the clearance, and in the end it goes over his head. Of course, ended up costing us. And do not forget as well the history of Barcelona versus Inter Milan in the semi-final. Last time this happened, of course, was back in 2010, where, of course, they did stop our back-to-back Champions League regime, so to speak. We were trying to defend the Champions League title. We couldn't. Of course, we won the Champions League before this year and after this year, so we would have three-peated if we end up beating Inter. Of course, Inter went on and won the treble that season. Very tight games. I think we lost at the San Siro 3-1. Brought it back to the Camp Nou where we won 1-0, but of course need that extra goal to benefit from the away goal rule, and that would have, of course, put us advanced. It was a Mourinho and Inter defensive masterclass despite the Thiago Motta red card as well, and it's going to hopefully be a bit of a revenge arc in this respect as well. The last time, I think the only time we played Inter in the Champions League in the semi-final of the Champions League before was during this moment, and they did, of course, get the upper hand. It's now time to continue that revenge arc. So we have 2 revenge arc, of course, for the group stages 2 years ago, and also for that Champions League campaign in the 2010-2011 season, or was it 2009? No, sorry, 2009. 2010 season. So, you know, all these games very tight, but most importantly, all of them high scoring. You can see Inter over the course of 2 legs beating us by 1 goal. Here it was a draw completely, and of course beating us by 1 narrow goal at the San Siro over the past few years. It'll be very interesting to see how this game turns out, especially the tactical battle between Simone Inzaghi and Hansi Flick. One that's very defensive philosophy, one that's a very attacking philosophy. It'll be interesting to see what the approaches will be. I think as of right now, Inzaghi has the upper hand because when you're defending a lot, you can really rely on your attackers to go forward and, you know, nick a goal some way, somehow. Again, a lot of teams that build their team on defenses tend to keep a lot of clean sheet, can see little to no goals. But we saw how vulnerable they were in the leg against Bayern Munich. They conceded 3 goals, 2 at home, 1 away at the Allianz Arena. And Bayern Munich, I would say, do play more similar to Barcelona than per se in terms of the Inter style of play. So they can be got at. Of course, defense is not perfect. There are holes and implications that can be exploited, but it still favors Inzaghi because when you're defending a lot, you just rely on wasting time, clearance of the ball, taking your time in build-up play, whereas Barcelona will be rushing things, of course, with the high line as well. I think the high line will probably be beneficial in this tie because Inter already play not super deep, but deeper than most teams in the world of football, especially when they only have 2 or 3 attackers up front. They, of course, have to rely on their wingbacks as well to get forward, provided width and during the game. So it'll be interesting to see how these two managers maybe adapt to each other. Again, you have one of the best attacking teams facing one of the best defensive teams, so both, you know, characteristics will be on show. And it'll also be interesting to see as well how Barcelona do play in this game in regards to the players. This is, you know, a lot of these players' first Champions League semi-final. I believe only Ter Stegen, Lewandowski, Dani Olmo, Christensen, and I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone else. I think those are only 4 players that have ever played in a Champions League semi-final before. Maybe Szczesny with Juventus or Arsenal, I'm not quite too sure at the top of my head. So this team is very inexperienced in this. Oh, of course, Frankie de Jong with Ajax. So this is a very not inexperienced team, but a team where they're in a new scenery. Inter Milan, of course, are not, you know, a world beater. It's not like a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich, but they are a more constructual and more of a good team over the course of the season on a consistent basis. It'll be interesting to see how the players adapt to it, the moment as well, and also from the manager Hansi Flick as well. This, I think, is going to be his second Champions League semi-final as a manager. Of course, the first one he got to with Bayern Munich and won in the sextuple. I think he got knocked out the quarterfinals around 16 by PSG after that. So this will be, you know, a very not new occasion for Flick, but still maybe a bit rusty in that sense. And again, how he approaches this game, the rest around the game as well, the schedules going into these games are absolutely wild. I do want to touch upon it very quickly. You can see on the screen here Barcelona's schedule coming up ahead. You have, of course, that back-to-back header in the league at the Montjuic, Celta and Mallorca. Then you have the Copa del Rey final. You have the first leg on the Wednesday, so there will be a bit of a gap there of a break. Valladolid, worst team in La Liga, away from home, second leg, and then the league Clasico. So you have 4 huge season-defining games with the Valladolid trip smack in the middle. It's going to be very interesting to see his squad management, also the players management as well. That Valladolid game might be a dead rubber where he just rotates the absolute entire team, you know, dug them out for the first 2 games. I think our B team can definitely, you know, go ahead. I mean, B team players like rotation players, not the actual Barca Athletic, but the B team kind of squad fridge players, I think can definitely go toe-to-toe with the worst team in La Liga. But we just saw Valladolid go toe-to-toe with Atletico Madrid, almost beating them at the Metropolitano Stadium last Monday as well. There's no, of course, easy game left this season, and having that Valladolid game, you know, jam-packed in the middle will, of course, give us a time to reflect, time to rotate as well. I think that's how Flick's going to see it. But, you know, Copa del Rey final, first leg, second leg, then the League Clasico, everything will be for Barcelona this season will be defined this moment. You win the Copa del Rey, of course, as a trophy in your book. You win the League Clasico, that's pretty much the league title all wrapped up. You get to the final of the Champions League. I think we get to the final no matter if we face either PSG or Arsenal. I think we will win it. So just being those 2 games as well, everything here, we're in now to crunch time, season defining moments. And on top of that as well, you have to remind yourself of the Inter schedule as well. And their schedule is a bit easier than Barcelona, but still quite difficult. They have the Coppa Italia final as well, alongside, of course, the Copa del Rey final. Copa del Rey final, they have the Coppa Italia final, the Milan derby against AC Milan. Then they have also Roma at home at the San Siro, travel away to Barcelona, then Verona, then Barcelona, then they have Torino away. That could be maybe a bit of a tough game there for them. But that Verona game, very similar to the Valladolid game for Barcelona, is going to be a dead rubber. They're going to just fully rotate and probably just look forward to the Barca game that they host, and of course the Torino game as well. So not only do we have a tough schedule ahead. So do Inter Milan, but I think, of course, this schedule is in a different perspective. Hopefully now with Real Madrid being knocked out against Arsenal, their confidence and their momentum and their mood is absolutely on the floor. Everyone's unhappy. No remontada, and Ancelotti's job is in the air. So hopefully we can capitalize on that, and of course we'll see what Inter do in their games. But again, this kind of moment is going to all come down to how Barcelona players do perform, and if they can keep that high level for just one more month to have a push at the treble. I think it will be difficult. A lot of people are saying that they still believe the treble is on. I mean, of course we're on for the quadruple with the Spanish Super Cup won in January, but I do fear that we will win only 2 out of 3. The question is really which 2. Will it be the league and the cup and the Champions League, the Champions League and the league, the Champions League and the cup? I don't know, but again, the games are just coming in too thick and fast, and we're one injury from a starting player away from crumbling, I feel like. Of course, now Balde is injured. We'll wait and see when he recovers, how he recovers as well. Hope he can be here for the first leg against Inter. If not, maybe hopefully the Copa del Rey final if we're really, really lucky. But for an injury to that front three, whether it be Rafa, Lamine, or Lua, we're probably cooked. An injury to Pedri or Frankie, we're probably cooked. An injury to Kounde, we're probably cooked as well. Because the fringe players coming in can have an impact, but we're in crunch time now. We got Clásicos and Champions League semifinals coming up. We can't rely on Ferran Torres to play up front, Eric Garcia to play in the pivot or at center back, Araujo to play at center back as well. So we need to not only perform well at the highest level, but also remain fit and injury free. So everything is pointing to it being, super, super, super difficult. But again, that's where chances are ahead. The treble has rarely been done in football. It's not going to be easy, and that's why it is a big, big challenge. You look at the Champions League semifinals as well. A lot of people have been mentioning this. You have the 2 best attacking teams in Barcelona and PSG facing the 2 best defensive teams in the world in Arsenal and Inter. So it's going to be, best attack versus best defense, and we'll wait and see who meets in the Champions League final. I have no doubt if Barcelona do make the Champions League final, we will win it, whether it be Arsenal or PSG in the final. I think just, beating Inter over 2 legs is where the final challenge does come ahead. And I think, again, it will mainly come down to how Flick manages the team, how the team plays in certain games as well. Will they favor La Liga games? Will they have to rotate in those league games? Whether we win or lose the Copa del Rey final, win or lose the League Clásico, all these things will have implications onto how Barcelona proceed forward. And of course, coming off the back of our first loss in 2025 against Dortmund, but still progressing to the semifinal of the Champions League. All the players saying after the game, if we can lose one game from now to the end of the season, it would be this one. So they know that maybe you could say a lucky free hit where, of course, they almost balled it. We cannot ignore that, but it all comes down now to this moment. So we'll wait and see what happens with Inter. Of course, we'll preview the game in terms of tactics, players involved, and stuff like that as we approach closer. This is just a simple look ahead into the final month of the season. We're hoping Barcelona do end up triumphing. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed in this video. Are you confident about the treble? You think we'll win 1 trophy, 2, 3, God forbid 0? And how do you see this Inter-Barca tie? I honestly see it 50-50. I would edge it 51% to 49% in favor of Barcelona because we are the best team in the world. We have been before we get the highest level from August until now. But again, this is kind of our kryptonite. Of a defensive team that play naturally at 3 at the back, that have 2 world-class strikers up front in Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. Thankfully, neither of them are target man strikers, but quick strikers that can, move in behind very easily. It is one of our kryptonites for sure. But leave me all your thoughts down in the comments down below. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe down below as well if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.